Hi there, I'm Jennifer Howard, the product manager from Cydea, and here at Cydea we help organisations make better cybersecurity decisions. Today I'm going to be taking you through an assessment review within the platform. So I'm going to start by taking you through this Roadrunner assessment review. I can see that I'm a bit behind my review schedule by looking at the review date here. So this was the 23rd of April. So this particular review is overdue. The first thing I would suggest that you do when you're looking at a risk assessment review is to click on the tolerance and maybe make some changes to this. For this particular organisation, I may have previously had another meeting with my exec team and could fill this risk tolerance out. So let me just update that now. So as part of your annual review of your risk assessment, you can update risk tolerance. I've filled these out based on a previous workshop and I'll just click save. So now we've updated this loss exceedance curve to be more in line with what our senior stakeholders think that we can afford to lose. And obviously, because this red line is above our risk tolerance line, which is the dotted one, means that we've still got more work to do to bring our security program and risk in line with those senior expectations. The next part of the assessment is the actions. So I could spend time reviewing each one of these, but the way that this particular organisation works is that each of the risks have their own review cadence. So I could click on the ransomware and do a separate review as part of that and spread those throughout the year, just so the team doesn't have so much to do compactly in one risk assessment. So I'm going to leave that for another video. Next, when I scroll down to the actions, I can see that I want to add a risk that covers my AI exposure from third parties as part of this assessment. And I can use Cydea's helpful scenario library for this. So I can click on the scenario library and view the artificial intelligence related risks. And then each one of these, I can look to see if these apply to my organization. Because I'm looking at third party risk, I'm going to add the supply chain AI outage to my assessment. So I'll click here. I'll click to add that to my assessment and then click add. Now that's successfully added, I'll go back into the assessment. And as part of the assessment review, I could choose to update that particular risk, or now that it's on the plan, pick that up as part of a separate activity. So here I've got supply chain AI outage added on my plan. Now I've concluded everything I wanted to do in my assessment review, I can scroll down here and I can mark this action as complete because I've added that risk to the risk assessment. I can then scroll down and start filling out the review. So we do this assessment on an annual basis, quarterly basis. So I can then edit the review notes. So Jennifer added the AI risk, this. So I've added that text there that the still needs to be refined as part of the scenario reviews, and I can click save, and then I can mark that assessment review as complete. That automatically generates the next date for the review, happening on the 22nd of July, which would be a quarter after the review schedule for this date. The platform will then remind me, as I'm the owner of this particular review, before this review date, 7 days before, so I can do that process again. Now I've completed the assessment view, I'll go and show you a control review. So here I can go to my risk management plan and I can go and review a control. So if I look at monitoring activities, I can open that up. And as part of my control review, I can add some information to these missing fields. So I'll put myself as the owner. I'll also set the status as in live, as we published this particular control last week. I can also add a new review date for 1 month time, and I can add a vendor here. So typical vendors, maybe CrowdStrike. And I can also add how much we pay with them annually. I could also put my existing maturity, it's quite high. It's rolled out on quite a lot of the estate, but we'd still like to continue with the rollout. So we'd have that as the target would be for. If I click update there. So this particular control has now got more information, which is good. I can also see that it's aligned to the ISO frameworks and then which of the cross mapping is aligned to it. I can also look at the link scenarios. Maybe as part of this control review, I want to link to another scenario. So I click on the assessment and I could also apply the monitoring control to any one of these risks if I wanted to. For example, I could just add it to the supply chain outage if that made sense. So I'll link that and add the suggested modifiers. So that's also part of my control review. I could add some actions here. I did say that I wanted to increase the target maturity, so I'll add an action related to that. So here I've added an action to roll out our EDR capability to the next 100 devices as part of the plan. And I've assigned that to our IT project manager and given a date to do that. So that means on the next review cycle, hopefully this action will be completed, which means as part of the control review, I could increase this target, increase the existing maturity towards the target. That's everything I wanted to show you on the control review. So I will go ahead and add a note to say what I've done. So I've just added that note there that I'd like to increase the control maturity. And now I can mark this review as completed. And then when I come back on the 29th of October, I'll be able to see if this action has been completed and whether I can improve the position of the control maturity score. So I've now shown you how to review a risk assessment and a control. I hope this helps. Thank you for watching.